watching Miami Temple Kids.
Triumph gloriously, the horse and rider thrown into the sea. The Lord, my God, my strength, my song, has now become my victory. The Lord, my God, my strength, my song, has now become my victory. The Lord is God, and I will praise Him. My Father is God, and I will exalt Him. The Lord is God, and I will praise Him. My Father is God, and I will exalt Him. I will sing unto the Lord, for He is triumphed gloriously, the horse and rider thrown into the sea. I will sing unto the Lord, for He is triumphed gloriously, the horse and rider thrown into the sea. The Lord, my God, my strength, my song, has now become my victory. The Lord, my God, my strength, my song, has now become my victory. The Lord is God, and I will praise Him. My Father is God, and I will exalt Him. The Lord is God, and I will praise Him. My Father is God, and I will exalt Him. I will exalt Him. I will exalt Him.
Good morning, guys, and happy Sabbath. Today is January 30th, and it's time for another Sabbath School lesson review with our teachers. So sit back and let's hear our Miami Temple teachers give their lesson review. I'll see you guys in a little bit, okay? Bye. Good morning, guys, and happy Sabbath. Today is January 30th, and it's time for another Sabbath School lesson review for our beginners class. I'm so excited to be with you this week. Now, do you guys remember what your memory verse is? By now, the last Sabbath of the month, you should have this memorized. Ready? That's right! Good job! Jesus was obedient. Luke 2, verse 51. And you remember the story of how Jesus would help around the house? Maybe he had toys and he would help clean up, and he would help his mom set the table or pick up the dishes and take them to be able to get washed. There's lots of things that you guys can do at home also. So I'm going to show you a video of a song that I found. It's so much fun about things that you can do to help around the house. I'll see you guys in a little bit, okay? Bye.
When someone's in trouble and they need your help, make sure they're okay. When someone's in trouble and they need your help, what's the thing to say? You say, how can I help? What can I do? I want to do a nice thing for you. How can I help? What can I do to make things better for you?
When someone's in trouble and they need your help, make sure they're okay. When someone's in trouble and they need your help, what's the thing to say? You say, how can I help? What can I do? I want to do a nice thing for you. How can I help? What can I do to make things better for you?
sure they're okay. When someone's in trouble and they need your help, what's the thing to say? You say, how can I help? What can I do? I want to do a nice thing for you. How can I help? What can I do to make things better for you?
When someone's in trouble and they need your help, make sure they're okay. When someone's in trouble and they need your help, what's the thing to say? You say, how can I help? What can I do? I want to do a nice thing for you. How can I help? What can I do to make things better for you?
Did you guys like the song? I especially love the part with the grandmother. Wasn't it nice? And did you see how everybody helped clean up the dishes at the end? I know there's so many things that you guys can do at home. You're getting bigger and older and taller, so you can help at home. You can clean up, you can pick up your toys, you can help take the dishes to the sink. All these things makes Jesus so happy. He did those same things when he was at home. Let's say our memory verse. Jesus was obedient. That's right, and it's found in Luke 2, verse 51. Good job. Now everybody stand up. I'm going to put my ball down. Stand up, stand up. Ready? We're going to do our Sabbath school poem. Are you guys ready? From the top of my head to the tips of my toes, I will be Jesus' child wherever I go. I'll see you guys next week. Happy Sabbath. Bye.
Hi, my name is Victor Gabriel, and the memory verse is Jesus came to seek and to save the lost. Luke 19:10. Bye.
Happy Sabbath, kindergartners. Glad to have you back. Now, I've been talking about being kind and what Jesus would do and loving your family and friends. But today I want to talk to you about this guy. Any idea who this is? Okay, his name is Zacchaeus. Some people say Zacchaeus, some say Zacchaeus, same person. Now this Zacchaeus person here, he was a tax collector. That's a person that goes around to people's houses and collects money from them for taxes. Now in our America, you do it online or you do it with a check. Nobody comes to your house to get it. But in his day, it was his job. Now, nobody liked Zacchaeus because if he was supposed to get $10 of tax from you, he would take more. He would say, you owe $12 of tax. Then he would give the $10 to the tax people and keep the $2 for himself. And the people knew that Zacchaeus was taking more money than he should. They didn't like him. They didn't invite him to their parties. They didn't tell him when anything fun was going on. They didn't want to talk to him. Nothing. Then Zacchaeus realized he was doing something wrong. He was doing a very bad thing and he wanted to make it better. He said, nobody loves me. Oh, I'm doing bad things. So he tried to make them better, but the people just didn't believe him. They didn't believe he would change. And Zacchaeus heard about Jesus and he thought, does Jesus love me? Because the people were saying that Jesus loved everybody. And he wondered. And then one day he found out that Jesus was going to pass through his town. Now, he was a short guy. Can you still see me? He was really short. And he figured, if I go down to the town where Jesus is going to pass by, he won't be able to see me because everybody's so tall and I'm short. So he decided to climb up a tree that Jesus would be passing under. So he went and he sat in the tree and he waited. And then he heard the crowd coming closer and closer and closer. And he was looking out the tree to see if he could see Jesus. And yes, he saw Jesus coming. And Jesus came up and Jesus went right under the tree. And Jesus looked up and he said, Zacchaeus, come down from that tree. I'm going to have dinner at your house. And Zacchaeus thought, me? Oh, okay. And he scrambled down the tree and he came down and he said, okay, Jesus, come to my house. We can go to my house. Now, if Jesus loved Zacchaeus after all the bad things he'd done, he can love you and he can love me. Now, because of this, Zacchaeus said to Jesus, I'm going to give back everything I have stolen from everybody, and I'm going to even give them extra. That's how much I want to be good, and that's how much I want to follow you, Jesus. So, that was the end of the story. That was what happened with Zacchaeus. But our memory verse today says, Jesus came to seek, that means to look, and to save the lost. Now, we're all lost. All of us, because all of us do bad things. All of us sin. All of us are mean sometimes, not good sometimes. But Jesus came to get us and to save us. He came to look for us. That's what your memory verse is saying. So this is a pretty long one, so we're going to take it in pieces. Let's start with the first part. Jesus came to seek and to save. Let's try that. Jesus came to seek and to save. One more time. Jesus came to seek and to save. Last part, the lost. Like put your fingers together like that and then just drop them. The lost. And who are the lost ones? We are. Now in your Bible, that's found in Luke 19 verse 10. Now remember, you have your new quarterly now and your parents can go in there and they can download this page, which is page 67, and you can make your own Zacchaeus, or you can color him and put him in a tree. See? You can put him right here where this little slot part is. And here's your Zacchaeus here. You can put him in a tree. That can be your craft for today. Now, if your parents didn't get one like from a couple weeks ago, they can still look. And then you can do one that we did 2 weeks ago for the donkey. You can make a donkey mask. All these are online. You can find them where you find the lesson. And you can download them and have a nice craft. So one more time, your memory verse. Jesus came to seek and to save the lost. Until next time, kindergartners. Bye.
Zacchaeus was a wee little man was he. He climbed up in a sycamore tree for the Lord he wanted to see. And as the Savior passed that way, he looked up in the tree. And he said, Zacchaeus, you come down. For I'm going to your house today. For I'm going to your house today. Zacchaeus was a wee little man was he. He climbed up in a sycamore tree for the Lord he wanted to see. And as the Savior passed that way, he looked up in the tree. And he said, Zacchaeus, you come down. For I'm going to your house today. For I'm going to your house today.
Hi, my name is Eric. This week's memory verse is found in 1 Samuel 12, verse 22. For the sake of his great name, the Lord was pleased to make you his own. Happy Sabbath.
Good morning, Primary Sabbath School. Happy Sabbath to all of you. Can you believe that it's the last Sabbath in January? We just started 2021 and we're already 1 month done with 2021. That's crazy. Thank you, Eric, for reminding us of our memory verse for this week. I wonder if any of you, have you ever had a time where you asked for something and you really, really wanted something, but maybe when you got it, it didn't seem as great as what you thought it was going to be? Maybe it wasn't as much fun. Maybe it didn't taste as good. I don't know. Whatever it may be. But sometimes we think we want things, and when we get them, they're not really what we thought they were going to be. There's a saying that grown-ups use sometimes called, "The grass is always greener on the other side of the fence." We see what looks like it's a really good thing, but maybe it really isn't the best for us. In this week's story, we're going to hear about Samuel. Samuel's going to tell us how important it is for us to follow God's plan. The children of Israel thought they wanted something. They wanted a king. And when they were about to get a king, Samuel said, "Be careful, because it may not be what you actually want. This is not God's plan." But you know what? No matter what happens, God still loves you. God still loves us, and we are still His children. I look forward to seeing all of you on Zoom later this afternoon. Have a great day and enjoy this story.
Have you ever wanted to do something even if it made your mom or dad or teachers sad? The people of Israel did that to God. The people of Israel decided that they wanted a king to lead them instead of God. They wanted to be like everyone else around them. So they went to Samuel and asked him to let God know they wanted a king. Samuel talked to God, and God gave them Saul. When Saul led Israel to a victory in battle, the people were ready to celebrate having their king. "Let us go to Gilgal," Samuel said to all the people. "We can crown the king and make a sacrifice to the Lord." So Samuel, King Saul, and all the people gathered for the celebration. They sacrificed offerings and worshipped the Lord. Then Samuel, now an old man with gray hair, called for quiet and began his speech. "God has done as you have asked," Samuel said. "He has given you a king to be your leader. And what about me? I was your leader since my youth. Tell me, have I ever cheated you? Have I ever stolen from you?" "No," the people answered. "We can honestly say that you did not cheat us or hurt us." "Good," Samuel replied. "Now stand here and listen. I am going to remind you of all the good things God did for you and your fathers and grandfathers when the Lord was your king." Samuel reminded them of how God had sent Moses and Aaron to lead the people from Egypt, and the people remembered. Remember how Israel forgot about the Lord and worshipped idols? Samuel continued. The Lord allowed them to become slaves of Sisera. What did the people do then? They asked the Lord to save them. Some of the people said, "They promised to serve the Lord," others replied. "This has happened again and again," Samuel reminded them. "Many times Israel forgot the Lord and worshipped idols and became slaves. Each time they said, 'We did wrong. We are sorry. We will serve you, Lord.' And each time the Lord forgave them and saved them. Now," Samuel continued, "you have asked for a king. and the Lord has given one to you. You will not always like what your king asks you to do. Respect your king, but always be faithful to God. Now look and see what the Lord is about to do. It is harvest time. I will pray to God for thunder and rain. This is to show you what an evil thing you did when you asked for a king instead of letting God lead you. Samuel called out to the Lord. That same day, the thunder rolled overhead and the rain fell in great sheets. The people huddled together, cold, wet, and frightened. "Save us," they cried to Samuel. "We were wrong to ask for a king." "Don't be afraid," Samuel tenderly replied. "For the sake of his great name, the Lord was pleased to make you his own." The people began to feel better. Just knowing that God was glad he chose them to be his people made them feel warm inside. "You did wrong," Samuel said, "but you are still God's people. I will pray for you, and I will still be here to teach you how to follow the way that is good. Remember always to serve the Lord with all your heart. Don't worship idols." Then God's chosen people felt better. They promised again to remember the good things God had done for them.
Happy Sabbath! Today's memory verse is from Hebrews 12 verse 2, and it reads, "Fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God."
Happy Sabbath, junior families. It's lesson 5, and the title of this week's lesson is Unexpected Faith. Now, this week's lesson is about a centurion, or a general in the Roman army, whose faith in Jesus brought healing to his servant. Our PowerPoint for this week is, as our faith develops, so does our ability to serve. Now, this lesson is a wonderful lesson because it talks about faith, but what is faith? Faith is trusting God to do and work within whatever situation you're in, whether it's health, whether it's relationship, whether it's financial, whether it's anything. God, when we have faith, God is always working within the situation or the problem that we're in. And the centurion had that faith. Now, to illustrate it, I have here the series of pictures. Now, if you look at them by themselves, they're just a series of black and white patterns with some grays in between. And this here, this sheet of paper, is our filter. This is our filter of faith. Now, I want to show you what happens to these pictures when we see them through the filter. Okay, hold on. I'm going to move this to the side, and I'm going to bring this right on top. And here we go. Here we go. Watch what's happening. Here we go. I'm bringing it across. Do you see what the picture actually is? It's water that's dripping and causing a ripple, right? You see it very clearly when you look through it through the filter. Now, let me show you the other picture. Here it is. Let's see, what is this picture? If I put on the filter, look what happens to this picture.
it's a cog that's actually spinning. How awesome is that, right? What looked like it was just a series of lines and a series of drawings and patterns that really didn't look like much to you was actually something that was mobile and dynamic. And that's what faith is. When we look through our problems through a filter of faith, we know that God is working in each situation. And because we know that He's working in that situation, we don't have any reason to worry. And that centurion knew that. That's why when Jesus said to him, "In all of Israel, I have not seen as much faith as I have seen in this man," he knew that that centurion trusted in him 100%. So we'll talk more about having faith, but that filter helps us to guide us through any situation in life. May you have a blessed Sabbath, and I'll talk to you later in our Zoom class. Bye-bye.
When Jesus had finished saying all this to the people who were listening, he entered Capernaum. There a centurion's servant, whom his master valued highly, was sick and about to die. The centurion heard of Jesus and sent some elders of the Jews to him, asking him to come and heal his servant. When they came to Jesus, they pleaded earnestly with him,
"This man deserves to have you do this, because he loves our nation and has built our synagogue."
So Jesus went with them. He was not far from the house when the centurion sent friends to say to him,
"Lord, don't trouble yourself, for I do not deserve to have you come under my roof. That is why I did not even consider myself worthy to come to you. But say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I myself am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. I tell this one, go, and he goes, and that one, come, and he comes. I say to my servant, do this, and he does it."
When Jesus heard this, he was amazed at him, and turning to the crowd following him, he said,
"I tell you, I have not found such great faith, even in Israel."
Then the men who had been sent returned to the house and found the servant well.
Hi, my name is Brian, and the memory verse is, "Do not be shaped by this world, instead be changed within it by a new way of thinking. Then you'll be able to decide what God wants for you, and you'll be able to know what is good and pleasing to Him and what is perfect." Romans 12:2. Happy Sabbath.
Hello, my early teens. How are you? Well, I hope. Well, this week we studied lesson number 5, which is entitled Resisting Negative Peer Pressure. But before we get into the lesson, why don't we say thank you to Brian, who just reminded us what this week's memory verse was all about. You know, it's actually one of my favorite Bible verses, and I really love how the New Living Translation puts it. This is what it says: "Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect." Think about it. This is the perfect tip for resisting peer pressure, because you're not going along with the crowd, you're being your own person, and also you're doing God's will. So that's one way to resist peer pressure. But what is peer pressure? I'm sure a lot of you already know what it means, but for those of you who don't, well, peer pressure is basically you being influenced by people who are your age or people who engage in activities that you do. All right? So it could be positive, but it could also be negative. Negative because they're pressuring you into doing something that you don't want to do, or into doing something that you know you shouldn't do. Now, peer pressure is not only limited to teens and kids. Even us as adults, we also experience peer pressure. Sometimes we feel like we have to do certain things because other people are either telling us to do them, or we feel like we will be left out if we don't do them. So this makes this topic or this lesson the perfect continuation of last week's lesson, where we talked about the fact that we all long to be part of a group, of a family, of a team. And so sometimes we may change our own behaviors, our own personality in order to fit in or not to feel left out. Now, how can we know that we are being pressured? Well, pressure could be something that is continuous. So they ask you over and over and over again to do something that you don't really want to do until you cave in because you're either annoyed or you just want to get rid of them. Another way that you could be pressured is being made fun of because you're not doing the same thing as others, or you're not dressing as others, or you're not talking or behaving like others. Another way is to make you feel guilty. They tell you that, well, you know what? Our group is going to suffer because you're not participating. These are all negative pressures to make you do something that you don't want to do. Now, when I was growing up, there was a sentence that parents would use a lot, and even my parents used it. If all your friends jump off a cliff, would you jump off a cliff too? Now, maybe that sentence no longer applies in 2021. Maybe your parents say something like, if all your friends did a horrible TikTok, would you make a horrible TikTok too? I know, not all of you are on TikTok, but I'm sure you understand. So peer pressure is basically being influenced or pushed into doing something that you don't want to do or you know you shouldn't do. Because as Christians, we have certain standards. We know that we belong to God. Our bodies are the temple of God, and there are certain things we shouldn't do, like smoke, drink, do drugs, have sex before marriage. A lot of things like that. Anyway, would you like to know what you can do in order to resist peer pressure? Well, we're going to watch a short video that will give you 4 tips. But we'll even talk more about it at 1 p.m. during our Zoom meeting. So see you there.
Whether you're in school or not, you're probably under a lot of pressure. Not just from all the studying and those piles of homework, but pressure from other kids. Pressure to have sex, or cheat, or maybe it's to smoke or take drugs. Of course, you know what they want you to do is bad, but at times you may feel like you're missing out if you don't join them. You're not alone. Since the world began, young people have been dealing with peer pressure. But it doesn't mean you have to give in. The Bible has some good advice. Exodus 23:2 tells us not to just follow after the crowd. In other words, don't do something just because everyone else is doing it. Instead, be your own person. How do you get the strength to stand up to peer pressure? Here are 4 steps that can help. First, keep on the lookout for moral dangers and identify any situations where you might be pressured to do something wrong. If you see trouble coming your way, don't walk right into it. Find another route and avoid the problem. The second step, stop and take the time to think. Think about the consequences before you give in to peer pressure. In Proverbs 14:15, the Bible says, smart people watch their step. So don't just jump in and do what others say. That may be hard to do if you're trying to fit in. But that's the time to use your imagination. How will I feel later if I give in? What might be the outcome? How might my actions affect others that care about me the most? Step 3. You need to plan ahead. Proverbs 24:5 says that a person who has knowledge increases his power. If you know exactly why you're saying no to something, why something is bad, it can give you the strength to say no. Now, the 4th step. Take action. No, you don't have to give your peers a lecture. Just say no, clearly and confidently. You may be surprised at their reaction. Each time you take a stand for what you know is right, you get stronger and stronger. and that makes it easier to resist the pressure the next time. You don't need to be rude, but you could give a reason why you wouldn't want to join in. And if they do keep pressuring you, just remember this. Giving into peer pressure is kind of like being turned into a puppet with your peers pulling the strings. You can't hide from peer pressure, but you can stand up to it. Remember to keep on the lookout. Think about the consequences. Plan ahead and take action. Facing up to peer pressure can be scary at times. But when you do, you show the decisions you make really are your own.
And that was our lesson review for this week. Now, parents, just like before, between now and the 11 a.m. service, please review the lesson with your children. If you need additional resources, you can visit our website at miamitemple.org. Under the Ministries tab, there'll be a link to the children's page. There you will find all the links to all the different classes. Go to the Teacher's Edition. Under the Teacher's Editions, there's lots of different ideas on what you can do with your children during the week. Now, I made this announcement last week, and I just wanted to remind you, God willing, is if everything goes okay, our church will be opening sometime in April. So we will end our recordings the last Sabbath of the quarter, which is March 27. I know, I've gotten so many wonderful messages from you all since last week when I first made the announcement. It has been a blessing for me, for all of my teachers to do this ministry and share it with all of you. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
This train is bound for glory. This train. This train is bound for glory. This train. This train is bound for glory. Jesus made a place in heaven for me. This train is bound for glory. This train. This train is bound for glory. This train. This train is bound for glory. This train. This train is bound for glory. Jesus made a place in heaven for me. This train is bound for glory. This train. Okay, now let's bring it down. This train is bound for glory. This train. This train is bound for glory. This train. This train is bound for glory. Jesus made a place in heaven for me. This train is bound for glory. This train. Oh, this train. This train is bound for glory. This train. This train is bound for glory. This train. This train is bound for glory. Jesus made a place in heaven for me. This train is bound for glory. This train. This train. This train. This train.
You're watching Miami Temple Kids.